Welcome to another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing. This week, the Assistant Secretary for Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment, Hayden Spencer, and the Secretary for Finance and Enterprise Development, Joel Jack, addressed the media.
At this time, it's my pleasure to report and also to inform the public that I would have spoken on many occasions about the demarcation of the Buccoo Reef Marine Park. We are about to undertake this project. This project is estimated to commence on the 16th of May. At this time, I'll apologize for any inconvenience that may be caused to the stakeholders in that area who ply their trade and make a daily living. What will happen from the 16th, this project will take about between 7 to 9 days. And when the contractor begins operation, there will be limited access to the Buccoo Reef Marine Park. So I'm calling on all the stakeholders of Tobago as it relates to the Buccoo Reef Marine Park, our visitors, our local and international tourists, that the inconvenience will just be for a few days. But it is very important that we demark this park so that the unregulated and illegal activities that are taking place there right now, the removing of the fauna and flora from that area, the catching of the reef fish, the reef turtles, the divers, they do dive the conchs and all that kind of illegal activity. So we want to have that area demarked and know that it's a Ramsar site and it's a restricted area. So we are embarking on that project, and we just at this time we are asking the public to be just patient with us for the couple days that this project will be going on. The other area is I'm also pleased to announce that our coastal zone lighting project, we would have started the coastal zone lighting project in Tobago. We would have completed Bell Garden and Culloden at a combined cost of $120,000. Now, these are, and we are moving up to Delaford, will be the third area that we would have outlined for fiscal 2016. Now, the lighting up of these areas, it lend to security for the fisher folks and the boat and engine and the tackling and stuff like that. So it is something that we would have discussed with the fisher folk of Tobago for a long while, and it's outstanding. So I'm pleased to report that project, we would have completed 2 areas, and the fisher folk in those areas, they are satisfied, and we will continue as the Tobago House of Assembly to do our best to treat with the people of Tobago. The other area I want to report is on the Castara and Charlotteville fishing facility. The Castara fishing facility is 55% complete. What we have going on in Castara right now is that the major structure is completed. And what is going to take us another 4 months is to complete the internal arrangements, the internal fitting, the steel tables, and all the mechanical equipment and stuff like that. So we are looking about in the next 4 months, we should be ready with the Castara fishing facility. As it relates to Charlotteville, I'm pleased to announce that Charlotteville is 97% complete. We just have 3 outstanding operations to carry out there. The additional table, stainless steel table, to perform wet room operations, an extractor fan, and an adjustment to the fire escape stairs to meet with the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service and the OSH requirements. So we are looking at by the end of May, the last week in May, Charlottesville Fishing Facility will be ready for commissioning and for the fisher folk in that area to start to make use of that facility. Let me touch this area on the area of illegal fishing by the Venezuelans and the Barbadians. I sympathize and empathize with the fisher folks of Tobago. And I want the public to be aware that it's not that the Tobago House of Assembly is not doing anything about it. The Tobago House of Assembly is only doing what it can do. So we would have met with the Minister of Agriculture, and we would have outlined to him the challenges faced by the fisher folk of Tobago. And he made a commitment to us that he will meet with the line minister, which is the Minister of National Security, and also the Minister of External Affairs, and they will discuss this matter at length and take the necessary action needed to treat with the situation so that the fisher folks of Tobago can see an ease in that area. Because what is really challenging in that area is that the Ministry of National Security and the department, as it relates to the Coast Guard, they have the responsibility to protect our coastal waters. And in some instances, there are limitations. So the Coast Guard will not be able to be out there on every occasion, 24/7 every day. And therefore, the fisher folk of these other countries use that opportunity to do illegal fishing and unregulated fishing when the Coast Guard is not present. However, it is becoming, we would have received reports from a number of fishermen that the Venezuelan in particular, they are coming closer into Tobago and are challenging our local fishermen, even to the extent where they point firearm at our local fishermen. So, like I said, I empathize with the fishermen. We are working closely with our counterparts in Trinidad, and I'm pleased to see, this is a discussion that it's not the first time we're having this discussion with a minister. We would have had the discussion with the previous minister with the responsibility, and and that just died a natural death. So we are actually seeing where a minister is concerned about Tobago and what is happening in Tobago, and he's making that effort to such an extent that last week, Thursday, a team from Trinidad consisting of the permanent secretary, deputy permanent secretary, the technical officer from the agriculture division, actually 9 people came up from Trinidad to meet with us to sit and discuss on all these matters so that we can come together, collaborate, and make our way forward. So I want the fisher folk of Tobago, the people of Tobago, to understand that it's a process and it's going to take some time for all these legislations to be put in place, especially when we are dealing with country to country.
We discussed at the Executive Council a number of initiatives following as part of our midterm review and reviewing and assessing the Assembly's fiscal position in light of the revenues and the allocations and the funding available to the Tobago House of Assembly. We reviewed a number of our projects, and within the next coming weeks, we will outline in further detail those projects that we're able to complete within this fiscal year, and those projects that we would have to postpone until the next fiscal year, should the funding become available Our discussion started today and will commence next week. And following those discussions, we'll be able to report to all of Tobago and to the national public how we propose moving forward with the limited resources that we have available. I believe we are all aware of the current fiscal situation and that the country is going through a period of structural adjustment, and with depressed oil and gas revenues, we have to play our part in reassessing our expenditure levels and the areas in which we will give priority to. Additionally, yesterday I'm also pleased to report that we formally opened the 2 multi-producer units at the Cove Eco Industrial and Business Park, a project that was managed successfully by the Eco Industrial Development Company of Tobago, EIDCOT. As we all are aware, EIDCOT is the overseer of the park, and they play a very significant role in facilitating economic diversification on the island. The 2 units, or the MPUs as I like to call them, can accommodate up to 8 manufacturers with designated spaces ranging in size of 500 to 700 square feet. The structures were built to support HACCP compliance, sound manufacturing practices, and ISO standards. The units can also be merged should the size be too small or limited for one entrepreneur. I'm also pleased to announce that it is envisaged that in the future tenants will, those tenants who occupy the small MPU units will expand and graduate into the larger factory shells at Cove. And we in the Assembly, we continue to provide the enabling environment for businesses on the island to succeed and for the expansion of the private sector. The Cove Eco Industrial and Business Park, I must boast our secretary has some of the best prepared and serviced lots for industrial and economic development. This includes manufacturing space of up to 6,000 square feet and additional land space for prospective tenants. We also wish to inform and remind persons that there is natural gas landed at Cove, and TNTech also has also established a power generation plant on the site that utilizes mainly natural gas. It's a dual-powered plant using both natural gas and diesel. The plant also is equipped with a fiber optic ring, and so that persons who have to utilize ICT can leverage that, and the plant has all the necessary built infrastructure in place. And I must say that this augurs well for the future development of the industry on the island, and future projects under consideration of Cove at the Cove include recycling facilities because of the ICT ring, telecommunication service providers, and other persons can leverage the ICT technology because of that fiber optic ring, the fiber optic infrastructure installed at the park. Persons who are also interested in data centers, they can also make use of all the built infrastructure at the park. The MPUs are also also part of the Assembly's response to treat with the needs of the SME sector. We're also happy that agro-processors on the island who are in dire need of retail space and manufacturing space can set up at the park. And we're hoping that to see a number of our small agro-processors who we would have in the past taken on missions to the United States, to New York, and also to Miami, and also to Canada and other parts of the Caribbean, that they would have the necessary space to expand their operations and to penetrate the export market. In the long run, it is envisioned that this initiative will support and boost indigenous business activity, and it will also have a positive impact on this island's and this country's food import bill by providing local manufacturers with the necessary space for manufacturing, as I alluded earlier. I think we're in a season when it is time for us to again refocus and basically eat what we grow and grow what we eat. And we are providing the factory space to allow the agro-processors to get into, not only to move away from primary, from primary production and get into value-added production. And we're hoping to see a number of successful lines coming out of Cove in the near future. There'll be numerous opportunities at the Cove as EDCOT continues to manage the park and implement its strategic plans through the provision of infrastructure and positioning the park as an option for business process outsourcing enterprises, and the development of several new industries, including animation and other ICT technology. As Secretary of Finance, I give my commitment that I will continue to work with the chairman and board of directors at Cove and the management as we execute a number of plans to attract both foreign direct and indigenous investment. As we attempt, as the catchphrase at Cove is intelligent industrialization. And as we are attempting to facilitate intelligent industrialization and to deliver on the mandate and the commitment that we give to the people of Tobago. This afternoon, I'm also pleased to announce that Tobago was represented at the annual spring meetings of the IMF and the World Bank in April. I was joined by the Chief Economist in the Economic Management and Research Unit at the Division of Finance, Dr. Hazel. And we were part of the national delegation that was led by the Minister of Finance, Mr. Colm Inbert, and the delegation included Dr. Alvin Hiller, Governor of the Central Bank, and other members of staff of the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. We attended sessions assessing the state of the global economy and participated in several meetings with the IMF and the World Bank country representatives. These meetings, I'm pleased to announce, explore opportunities for technical assistance and cooperation, and also reviewed Tobago's performance in the recently concluded IMF Article 4 consultation and social and economic issues confronting the island. These discussions were relatively fruitful, as the island in the near future we will become beneficiaries of technical assistance from CARTAC, and CARTAC is the Caribbean Regional Technical Assistance Center, which is a regional capacity building institution with programs focusing specifically on enabling countries to satisfy international standards for financial governance in order to attract investment. On another note, Winnie Division, we have been receiving queries as it relates to labor statistics on the island. I should take this opportunity to provide some information based on the latest data that we have available from the Central Statistical Office. While we might be hearing of job losses in Trinidad and Tobago, based on the data that we have at the time, and the latest data that we have from the CSO is for the third quarter of 2015 as it relates to labor statistics. The data we have is that the unemployment rate at the time is 3.1%. And we continue to monitor the dynamics here on the island. And as we monitor what is happening in the economic environment nationally, regionally, and internationally. Further, the CSO statistics for the second and third quarter of 2015 for Tobago suggest the following, that there are approximately 33,900 persons with jobs in Tobago in the third quarter 2015, compared with approximately 33,300 persons with jobs in the second quarter 2015, a slight increase of 1.8%. The labor participation rate was about 72.9% in the third quarter, 0.2% higher than the second quarter figure of 72.7%. The unemployment rate at the end of the third quarter, as I said, was 3.1%. And we continue to monitor the environment with respect to unemployment. And as was recently reported by the Chief Secretary, we are now we'll be soon implementing a system through the Labor Exchange, Bureau at the Division of Labor, and as well through the Labor Exchange Bureau, the online facility hosted by the Tobago Information Technology, to ensure that both the job seekers and employers are both placed on a modern platform where they both can engage each other. On one final note, the last time I attended the press briefing, I reported, you might recall the last time that I was here, I reported that Moody's recently placed Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension the Tobago House of Assembly, on a watch for possible downgrade. You might also be aware that Moody's has downgraded Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago's government bond rating, from Baa2 to Baa3. And this will undoubtedly have implications for the Assembly's rating. And because we are so closely tied to Trinidad, and it is not the usual practice to rate the subnational higher than the national, Moody's recently issued a downgrade to the Tobago House of Assembly. This notwithstanding, the Assembly will continue to deliver and manage the fiscal affairs of this island responsibly, while exploring opportunities for alternative financing for Tobago's development. The last rating issued to the Tobago House of Assembly was Baa2, and while we are downgraded, we are assured that once things improves in the economic environment, we should see a change in the rating. The implications for the Assembly is that borrowing becomes a little bit more expensive as a result of the downgrade. However, looking at all the macroeconomic fundamentals, this country still will have access to the capital markets internationally. And on a recent mission to Washington as part of to participate in IMF World Bank meetings, one of our meetings with an international bank indicated that. So I'm also heartened by that.
Could you briefly just explain the demarcation process? What is it actually happening at the Buccoo Reef?
Okay, the demarcation process will let me not say simply because it's a technical thing. One of the processes that they will be deploying marker buoys, marking out the whole Buccoo Reef Marine Park. This will include the placing of anchors, the placing of buoys, the chains that go down to the bottom there. These marker buoys will not be the regular marker buoys. They will have a lighting system where they have solar panels and that kind of thing on them, so that a vessel, from a distance could know that you're entering into a restricted area. All right, so there'll be a lot of, they have to do a lot of welding and fabricating and so on in that area. And also, their first job will be doing the data processing as to the best location to place the buoys that they can be easily seen. So the contractor would have given us the assurance that to complete that kind of a job, as long as the weather permits, he will be able to do it within 7 to 9 days. All right, but at the end of that project, any vessel user will be able to say, well, this is a restricted area, because you will see it marked off.
So is it that they would be unable to venture into the area, or just not fish at all? Or is it that nobody can enter into that area?
Oh, okay, let me explain. Mm-hmm. The area is to be used for tourism attraction, recreational activities. It is not for commercial use. Commercial in the sense that fisher folk are not to go there and fish. You are not to catch the fish in that area. You are not to set turtle nets in that area. And the divers, they are not to dive out the conchs and that kind of thing from in the area. We are trying to restore it and to keep it in a natural habitat. So the first step is to mark it off and say this is a restricted area.
Okay. And for the Finance Secretary, you spoke about the Moody's rating for Tobago, the fact that it downgraded, mainly because it was tied to the national downgrade. Do you think that that is the main reason, or is it something that we are doing here in Tobago that added to the downgrade? Is it mainly because we are tied to the central government?
Yes, Moody clearly stated in their press release that is the main reason, our close link with the national, with the sovereign, that is Trinidad and Tobago, and given the fact that we receive most of our revenues from central government, and that was the primary reason for the downgrade.
Cove. Do you have any idea, I'm not sure if you're on the Energy Board, but do you have any idea of when the CNG station will be beginning there? Because there was a release saying that the CNG stations would be, in all parts of the country, would be starting by the end of the year, but we haven't heard anything from the THA about it. Do you have any idea of when that would be starting?
Well, no, I don't sit on the Energy Committee. However, the Executive Council recently approved the allocation of a parcel of land at Cove to facilitate a CNG plant. In terms of the date for construction, we can make that information available to you. I'm not certain if at the moment that we have a definite date, but what was being considered was the establishment of a plant or the commencement of construction before the end of the year. But the Executive Council previously gave approval to the allocation of a parcel of land in the vicinity of Cove for the construction of a CNG plant.
Thank you for staying with us for the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending April 30th, 2016.